Can it English?
All right, boys and girls, back once again to fight this Chrysler. We have had extensive front end work done to the 300C SRT8. But I got a loud clank, clunk, ping, pang, whatever you want to call it when I turn. Sounds like it's coming from the front end. Now, the lower front and forward and lower rearward control arms have all been replaced. Ball joints, all of that's brand new. The only thing I haven't done is the upper A-arm, the upper control arm. And that's what we're about to do today. Get ready. All right, we have here the replacements. We got factory upper A-arms in the car now, non-adjustable. One position on SRT springs. Everything sits pretty good. I still get inside wear on the inside tread wear on the 22s on the front more than the outside. So once the inside starts wearing, I get new tires. But anyway, this is what we're putting on today. Fully adjustable. Fully adjustable. You can move that ball joint wherever you want. Good solid welded piece. A lot more robust than the stock. We give you two brand new ball joints. We got the little adjustment slider that slides wherever you want it, and you can also rotate the ball joint to give caster adjustments. You can rotate it forward, backward, inside and out, in addition to the camber adjustment you got here. But we're gonna put this back to pretty much stock because the way the wheels sit now, pretty good. I don't want them standing straight up and down because they'll interact with the fender more so. So the way they are now on the 265/30s, we don't have any rubbing issues pretty much at all. Only on the steepest off camber, when you turn and lift the rear wheel off the ground in the driveway or something, the only time I might get a little rub on the front when full lock going in a really, really tall driveway, maybe. But other than that, never, nothing. But let's get to work. Now, in order to do this job, it should be pretty quick. You're basically dealing with 6 bolts that you have to undo and put back together. The main bolt is at the top of the ball joint. Right. Can't really see it. That one right there. You will have to undo that. Put a new one back on with the ball joint. Then you got to come in here. First thing you should do before you lift the car off the ground, before you do anything, hit these bolts here are the ones that control or that keep the upper control arm in place. There's one here, one on the back side underneath your purge valve and your wire connection here. You also got one behind the coolant tank. You just lift that up, a couple of screws. Okay, there's a couple more screws you have to do. And then there's one right there on the back side, which is easy to get to. Now, what you absolutely need for this job, what you absolutely need for this job is an 18 millimeter ratcheting box end. The only thing you will be able to use to get those back nuts off. You don't want to go in there with just a regular crescent or this opening or a regular box end, because you'll be here all day. You're only going to be able to get a 1/2 inch of turn each time you do it. This is the way to go if you're going to tackle this job. Trust me on this. I did the first job, one job, upper control arms without this, and that is why I bought this. It did not come in the original pack of these that I bought. There was no 18, and I suffered greatly. So through my pain and tears, I will hope you will do better. And also because I have a roll bar, Now, because I have a strut tower brace, that's the first thing I got to take off is the strut tower brace, and even just to see if I'm going to be able to get back here. I've never done this on the 300 SRT 2012. The Magnum and the Jeep don't have that connector right there, so we have to move that out the way as far as I can tell. So anyway, I'm going to take this bar off now. Take that back. It's going to be a lot more involved than I had originally estimated. The computer's got to come out. There's no way you're gonna get to that bolt without taking your PCM out of the car. So pop all the rivets, lift this shit up, and take the computer out of the car. Then you have actual access to that bolt back there. Wait, can you see it? Right there. Okay. Well, that's out. So now we're going to try to bust that 18. Now, just as a reminder, busting these particular nuts off is going to be the first and very last thing you do. I mean, aside from the getting the computer out, getting the the strut tower brace off, because these A-arms will be under pressure once you have lifted the car up. When they hang down, they will be twisting on the bushings. And when you pop the joint, it's gonna slam up real fast. And then, when you're putting it back together, you don't want to tighten it down while the car is in the air. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna install everything, get the bolts in, do the ball joint, drop the car down. Once it's got the wheels bolted back on, everything's under its own weight where it actually sits all the time, that's when you want to bolt these back down, okay? Trust me on that. You will blow through a set of upper A-arms in a month if you don't do it this way. For this side, like I said, the reservoir tank is in the way. So just take out the two 10mm bolts that sit right here. You don't have to disconnect, open up your system at all. All you have to do, simply raise that up and out of the way so you have access to that bolt. That's it. Okay, got everything off up here. Come down here. This 18, just want to bust it loose. Wasn't that hard. And then we're going to hit this up with a hammer to pop this ball joint out of this, out of the spindle. There we go. Easy breezy. Now, as I pull this nut off, the whole wheel assembly is going to drop down. I have a second jack here for it to put it back up into place. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and let it drop. Its job is to work these bolts backwards out behind the spring. Shouldn't be too hard. We're gonna reuse those because they have the little catch to keep it from spinning when you're doing the nuts on the inside of the engine bay. So, and they run into the back of the spring back there, so it can be a little goofy to do. You don't have to do some wiggling. Might even have to turn the spring a little bit. But either way it goes, it takes some doing, but you can get them out. You might have to actually raise up, put the pallet jack under the suspension and raise it up a little bit until the spring gets out of the way of the actual bolt. So we're going to try that, see what we have to do. As it turns out, in all actuality, we were not able to get the screws out from behind the spring. What you end up having to do is undo the 3 bolts from the top of the strut tower of both sides of the car, drop the suspension all the way down, and then the screws become easy to do. We're back out here today with the Crhrysler 300. Day 2 of the annoying crack sound that's coming every time we turn. We got her out here today. We've done a few things already. We got that upper A-arm done, and it did not solve the problem whatsoever. So now we're doing end links. These end links that are on the car have been there since 2012, I presume. They're real easy to move around, and according to my internet research, they can cause a clunk and a rattle sound. Now the Magnum also has a little rattle driving down, uneven surfaces. I can hear a little bit of rattle. So we're gonna get into that one too later. But for now, let's get back to the 300. We got the upgraded A-arms in, and they're performing beautifully. The ride is hella smooth, hella nice. Big improvement over the way it was riding. The only problem I have left on this big red cherry bomb is that annoying snap every time I got the wheel turned and I'm like pulling in the driveway, pulling in and out of a parking spot, something or other. So what we're doing today, got another set of stock end links for the front. These are basically stock size, stock whatever. However, this nut here is a 22 millimeter. On the car is a 21. So, and we got a locking thread locker in there. So this one should never back off. Now the other ones never backed off. The other ones are fine. They never bent out of shape or anything like that. And if you want, you can go spend big money, about 150 bucks a set, for some B Woody end links, which are very thick. This part right here is much thicker, but for the actual work that this does in the car, what all this does is keep this side of the suspension attached to the sway bar, which is this here. See, there's the rod in place there, and all it does is keep those two attached so that when one side goes up on the car, the other side wants to go up. That's what keeps you level, keeps you flat in the curve. You didn't have this bar here going across. When you hit a curve, your car would just lean like a tour bus. So you don't want that. So we got the sway bar. This link here basically just keeps them located. The only pressure, the only tension on this bar is up and down. There's no twisting tension. There's nothing else like that. So this bar really doesn't have to be thick. This set cost me about 30 bucks. Okay, gimbal. This set here cost me about 30 bucks, so shouldn't have any problem. And the stock set has held up fine. It's just the ball joints here, they get loose and go bad, and they can possibly cause a snap or a jump when they kind of move around. They don't move too much, but if they get loose or if they bore out the hole that they're sitting in and they slide around, you might also get that. So we're gonna get down there and check it out, see what we got. In order to do this job, what you're going to need is a 10 millimeter socket, which is going to go over this end because this spins. This nut is a 21 or 22. On this car, it's a 21. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this with a box end, and then we're going to spin this inward like we're tightening, because what we're doing is actually spinning that one out. But however, they get tight. So what you do is you get in here, bust it with the box end. But if you were to just use the box end on this nut, you would spin the whole ball joint. So get a 10 millimeter, hold this tight, socket with a power ratchet on there will be fine, and then turn it in. You're gonna tighten this, and that's gonna pull this nut back until it's free. I'm gonna do that top and bottom. Down here we got the same situation. We use the 21-inch box to hold the nut. Got the nut off. Now we're gonna pull that out there, and then see, and then that end comes out there. Now these end links are specific to each side because they got a 90-degree bend in them, and you would think it would fit in every direction, but it doesn't. Trust me, I've tried. So matter of fact, when I was doing this job, I had put the wrong one out. Pulled the wrong one out for the driver's side, which I did already. But they are specific with the specific 90-degree bend for the front. The back has no turns in it whatsoever, so now go ahead and stick this one through the top and then bounce this one through the bottom. Might have to adjust the ball joint a little bit. And it's also very, very good idea to have both wheels off the ground when you do this, because you don't want any tension on the sway bar, on this bar here. You don't want any tension on this thing. So if you lift up one side of the car, try to do it all on one side, when you release this, it will pop, because this side wants to let out while that side is underneath the car, still under weight, and you could likely hurt yourself. So lift both ends of the car up so where both wheels are hanging free at their full extension. Then you can tackle this job. Now, all we have to do down here, put the new nut on. We're gonna set up the, wrong size. You need the 22 for this job. Forgive me, working without a tripod right now. Trying to be Mr. Smooth. So anyway, just get this thing on here somewhere where it's gonna, because you're gonna want to loosen the 10 millimeter here. You're gonna loosen that. So we'll be going that way. So this will want to go that way also. So we gotta put this somewhere where it's gonna catch something. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rest it up here. Well, shit, maybe not. So I'm gonna rest it up here. Then we're gonna get our 10 millimeter deep socket. And we're gonna drop it underneath the wood. So I have to use both hands. But anyway, we're gonna tighten it up like that. We'll get on there and get it done. So see you in a minute. Quick shot of what we're doing here. Got the 22 wrapped around the main nut. And I got my breaker bar. I've already used my ratchet as far as it'll go, but it doesn't quite give you the correct amount of torque. So now we got our breaker bar on loosen. And we tighten. So we can't tighten no more. That's it. Done. New bar installed. Now we're gonna put this wheel back on and we're going to see how it feels. See if we got ready to crack. Mind you, I also put urethane bushings, brand new urethane bushings in the roll bar. 30 millimeter is what you need for an SRT. Other models, other trims get a little smaller, down to like 26, I think it is, 25. You'll have to look up, make sure you get the right one. Because of course, first time I did this job, on the Magnum, many moons ago, I got the wrong size and it was a nightmare. Also, another tip, when you're doing your bushings here for your roll bar, your sway bar bushings, you need to get that little heat shield off, and you'll see a top bolt there, and there's one just like it on the bottom. You have to lift the car up, both wheels off the ground. Go ahead and take the tires off. And just take the tires, just take the wheels off, and you want to unloosen those 4 bolts, top bottom on this side, top bottom on the other side. Loosen them equally, almost out to where they're almost off but not quite. Those bolts are notorious for cross-threading on the go back in when you're trying to put them back. If you take off the little bracket that holds the bushing down, if you take that all the way off, you will have a nightmarish time lining up the bolts perfectly. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna cross thread them and strip it out, and then you have to go to the shop. So trust me, ask me how I know. All right. So tips and tricks: do all 4 at the same time. Loosen it up as much as you can. Wiggle the old bushing out. Put the new bushing in. Wiggle it back up under that clamp. It shouldn't be a problem. Both sides at the same time. And tighten them down gradually together. That's the only way to save your soul from cross-threading those bolts. Trust me, it's a horrible thing when you do that. But aside from that, we're good to go. Let's put the wheels back on, go for a drive. Well, we got that finished. Got the new end links on. They're solid, but I still had the clunk. Went for a little drive. It's still had that little snap. So I got back down under the car, took off the engine cover on the bottom, and re-torqued the front and lower forward control arms, and it seems to have done the trick. Maybe they were just not quite tight enough. Driving around here, no clunk. So we'll see what happens. But for now, we're gonna keep that Hemi under our right foot. And this Chrysler does not have to be fought anymore today. Hopefully. Deuces.